Dr. Daniel Blackwood adjusted his tie. Nervous energy thrummed through him. Tonight was the culmination of years of research, years of dreaming. Project Morpheus, they called it. A top-secret government program. Its goal? To pierce the veil of reality, to access the landscape of dreams. And not just any dreams, lucid dreams. Dreams where the dreamer knew they were dreaming, and reality itself could be reshaped. Blackwood entered the sterile lab. A hum vibrated in the air. The machine dominated the space, a monstrous tangle of metal and wires pulsing with an eerie green light. He could feel its power, a tangible presence in the room. This was no mere contraption. This was a doorway, a portal to the unknown. He glanced at the observers peering through the reinforced glass. Their faces were etched with anticipation, a mix of scientific curiosity and primal fear. Blackwood understood. He felt it too, the thrill of the precipice, the terror of the abyss. But he was a scientist, and fear was a hurdle, not a roadblock. Taking a deep breath, Blackwood settled onto the padded platform. Technicians moved around him, securing him with straps, attaching sensors to his temples. Their voices were muffled, distant, his heart hammered against his ribs. With a last glance at the observers, he closed his eyes. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. He awoke to the scent of pine and damp earth. Opening his eyes, Blackwood found himself in a forest. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, painting the leaves in shimmering gold. A gentle breeze whispered through the trees. It felt real, more than real, hyper-real. Colors seemed more vibrant, sounds crisper. This was no ordinary forest, this was a dreamscape. He remembered the lab, the machine, the expectant faces behind the glass. He had crossed the threshold, entered the lucid dream state, but something was different. There was a wrongness to this place, a subtle dissonance. The air hummed with an unseen energy, the trees twisted at unnatural angles. Their bark was smooth, almost fleshy. He began to walk, drawn deeper into the emerald labyrinth. The forest seemed to stretch on forever. He called out, but his voice was swallowed by the oppressive silence. A strange sense of unease settled over him. He was alone, utterly alone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, grotesque shadows, panic started to gnaw at the edges of his mind. He had to get back. He had to wake up. But how? The knowledge seemed lost, a fading memory from a life lived long ago. Days blurred into nights. Or perhaps it was the other way around. Time seemed to flow differently here. It stretched and compressed, obeying rules unknown. The forest remained his unchanging reality, a verdant prison. He encountered no animals, no birdsong, only the unsettling silence and the watchful trees. He discovered he could change things, reshape the environment. He could will a tree to bend, a stream to flow. But it was exhausting, like trying to swim through thick syrup. And the changes never lasted. The dream, it seemed, had a will of its own. One night, beneath a sky shimmering with unfamiliar constellations, he stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood a single, solitary figure. A woman with long, flowing hair the color of moonlight. She turned, her face obscured by shadow. Then she spoke, her voice a low, melodic whisper that seemed to resonate deep within his bones. "You are not supposed to be here," she said. Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. He tried to answer, but his voice failed him. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped him. Who was she? What was this place? He awoke with a gasp, drenched in sweat. The lab swam into focus. The familiar scent of antiseptic filled his nostrils. Relief washed over him. He was back. He had escaped the nightmare. But the feeling was short-lived. As the technicians removed the sensors, their faces pale, their movements hesitant, he realized something was terribly wrong. "How long?" he croaked, his voice raspy. The head researcher, a man named Dr. Miller, hesitated. 6 months, he finally said, his voice strained. 6 months. Blackwood felt a chill crawl down his spine. 6 months trapped in that place. He looked down at his hands. They trembled slightly, but it was more than that. They felt different, alien. The world around him seemed to vibrate with a subtle energy, an echo of the dream. He tried to explain, to tell them about the woman, the wrongness of that place, but the words caught in his throat. There was a wall between them now, a barrier of disbelief he couldn't seem to breach. They thought he was delusional, a side effect of the experiment. He could see it in their eyes, the pity, the fear. They discharged him a week later, deemed unstable, a risk. He was a liability to be managed, swept under the rug. They couldn't erase what he knew, what he'd experienced, but they could silence him. And so they did. He tried to resume his life, to pretend that none of it had happened. But the world seemed different now. The colors duller, the sounds muted, and the dreams were always there, waiting for him, beckoning him back to that strange, unsettling world. He was adrift in a sea of normalcy, forever marked by the experience, trapped between two worlds belonging to neither. The government, he knew, was watching him, monitoring him, waiting to see if he posed a threat, or perhaps waiting for him to lead them back to the dream. As for the woman in the forest, he never forgot her. Her words echoed in his mind. "You are not supposed to be here." A warning, a prophecy. He didn't know. But one thing was certain. He would never truly wake up from this dream. He was lost in the reflection, forever changed. The dreams grew more vivid, more intense. Each night he found himself deeper in that other world, the one that seemed to exist just beyond the edges of his consciousness. It was as if the boundaries of his mind were expanding, allowing him to explore realms he had never imagined. The landscapes were ethereal, filled with colors and shapes that defied logic. He wandered through forests where the trees whispered secrets, and across deserts where the sand seemed to shift with a life of their own. Every step he took felt like a journey into the unknown, a voyage into the depths of his own psyche. And then one night, amidst the swirling shadows and shifting landscapes, he stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. A hidden chamber, bathed in an eerie, pulsating light. The light seemed to call to him, drawing him closer with an almost magnetic pull. As he stepped into the chamber, the air grew thick with whispers. Voices overlapped in a cacophony of secrets, each one vying for his attention. He strained to listen, piecing together fragments of conversation. Words like experiment, control, and dimensions floated to the surface, painting a picture of a grand conspiracy that shook the very foundation of his reality. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. He could feel the weight of their secrets pressing down on him, threatening to overwhelm his senses. But he couldn't turn away. He had to know the truth, no matter the cost. He listened intently, trying to make sense of the disjointed conversations. It was as if he were eavesdropping on a meeting of shadowy figures, each one revealing a piece of a larger puzzle. The more he heard, the more he realized that his experiences were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, more sinister plot. The words experiment, control, and dimensions echoed in his mind, each one a clue to the grand conspiracy that was unfolding before him. He realized that the government, the woman in the forest, and the strange occurrences were all interconnected, threads in a vast, intricate web of deceit and manipulation. He felt a chill run down his spine as the enormity of the conspiracy became clear. This was no ordinary dream. This was a carefully orchestrated plan, a manipulation of reality itself, and he was at the center of it all. The lines between dream and reality began to blur, and he found himself questioning everything he thought he knew. Was he still dreaming, or had he crossed over into another dimension? The boundaries of his mind seemed to dissolve, leaving him adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The interconnectedness of the mysterious occurrences became more apparent with each passing moment. It was as if he were unraveling a tapestry of lies, each thread leading him deeper into the heart of the conspiracy. He knew he had to navigate this treacherous path, to uncover the truth before it was too late. But the deeper he delved, the more dangerous it became. The walls of his mind seemed to close in, the boundary between his waking life and the dream world growing ever thinner. He felt the weight of the conspiracy pressing down on him, threatening to crush him under its enormity, but he couldn't stop. He had to know. He delved deeper into the darkness, each step taking him further from the safety of his waking life. The shadows seemed to close in around him, and he could feel the presence of unseen forces watching his every move. But he pressed on, driven by a relentless need to uncover the truth. The boundary between dream and reality grew ever thinner, and he found himself questioning his own sanity. Was he still dreaming, or had he crossed over into another dimension? The lines between the two worlds seemed to blur, leaving him adrift in a sea of uncertainty. With each step, he felt the weight of the conspiracy pressing down on him, threatening to crush him under its enormity. But he couldn't stop. He had to know. He had to find the truth, no matter the cost. He had to find the truth, no matter the cost. For in this world of shadows and whispers, knowledge was his only weapon, and he would wield it to the very end. The world of shadows and whispers was a realm of secrets, each one more dangerous than the last. He knew that the only way to survive was to uncover the hidden truths that lay beneath the surface. Knowledge was his only weapon, and he would wield it to the very end. He would use the information he had gathered to defend himself against the forces that sought to control him. The conspiracy was unveiled, and there was no turning back. The truth was out there, waiting to be discovered, and he was determined to find it, no matter the cost. The journey had only just begun. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. For he knew that the only way to uncover the truth was to keep moving forward, no matter the cost. He took a deep breath and stepped into the abyss, ready to face the unknown. The journey was long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through to the end. As he continued to unravel the mystery, he began to piece together the puzzle. Each new revelation brought him closer to the truth, and he could feel the weight of the conspiracy lifting from his shoulders. He knew that the only way to uncover the truth was to confront the conspirators head-on. He would face them with the knowledge he had gained, and he would not back down. The final confrontation was inevitable, and he was ready for it. The ultimate revelation was within his grasp, and he would not let it slip away. The truth was finally revealed, and the journey had come to an end. But the knowledge he had gained would stay with him forever, a testament to his determination and courage. As the dawn of a new era began, he knew that his journey was far from over. The truth had been uncovered, but there were still many mysteries left to solve, and he was ready to face them, no matter the cost.